What's up guys, assalamu alaikum. This is Puya. In this tutorial I'm going to talk about another data types in Python, uh, which is called set. In this video we're going to see how to create a set, why do we need a set, and how to add and remove items from it, and other types of operations that are available on sets. So without further ado, let's begin. So far we've talked about numeric data types, string lists, tuples, and in this one we're going to talk about sets. So what are sets and how to create one? Let's create one set and we'll talk about how to use it and where to use it. So to create a set we need two curly brackets like this, and to separate different items or different values we use comma like always. And as you can see we got two sets, the first one and the second one. This contains more items. So to print a set, just simply use print. Actually print a print function that just prints everything on the console. So as you can see here, the print set, let me just put its name here so we wouldn't confuse it with other variables. Okay, sets. No, and not std set. Okay, as you can see, we have mentioned that here we should have 45, 4 5s, and only 1 15. And as you can see, we had at the beginning the Puya, but we've got it at the end in here, and we only have 1 5. So as you can see, sets simply works like sets in mathematics. We got in sets we don't have a repetition of items. Okay, you can't have two items that are the same. Okay, for example, here like more than one item, you can't have 3 or 4 items that are the same. As you can see here, we have mentioned that we want this 4 5s in our set, but simply sets just shrink it down to one item and removes the rest. So if you're working on a problem on a subject and you just want to have a sequence of items, okay, and in that sequence of items you want to make sure that you don't have a repeated value, sets are the best option that you got. Okay, and sometimes, for example, when I'm working on a list of files that, for example, there are the names of files that I have to process, and there could be repeated file names there, and I want to make sure that I'm not going to process one file, one item for 2 times. In that case, I create a set and I add the files that I have processed to that set, and the next item that comes, for example, in the for loop, in the while loop, I just check it whether it is inside that set or not. If it is inside that set, so I say, okay, I've checked you before, so I continue it. If it doesn't exist in the set variable, I say, okay, this one is not, for example, processed so far, so let's process it. This is one of the ways that I most of the time use set, but um, there are a lot that we can do. Here, for example, I told you the sets does not have repeated items, and one more thing that sets does not have is um, the order. The order does not matter in sets. As you can see, for example, here the Puya is at the beginning, but based on the sets order, which is based on a hashing algorithm, the Puya is at the end. Okay, so whenever you are working with sets, the order does not exist, and set has its own order that you cannot access it. Okay, so whenever you're using sets, you have to let go of order and you just use the fact that there are no repeated items in sets, and you have to use that feature that it has. If you really care about orders, for example, you can use list or tuple and other data types. So Uh, as the example that I provided for you, to check whether an item exists in set or not, you can use in. For example, here I want to check whether Ali is in set or not, and the first one returns false, and the second one returns true because Ali is in set. Does not exist in set. As you can see here, we don't have any Ali here, but in the second one we've got one. Okay. If you have two sets and you just want to concatenate them together, or you just want to add them together, you can use this pipe operation. And there are several other operations that are available for sets. For example, if you want to make sure all the items that are in tiny set, whether all the items available in set or not, you can use this larger sign, and the opposite is used with this smaller sign. And if you want to make sure that all the items that exist in set, if you want to get all the items that exist in set and tiny set, you can use add. Or if you want to subtract the items which are available, which are in tiny sets, you want to subtract them from set, you can use, for example, the subtract sign, and so on. Like always, the length works the same, it just counts the number of items. For example, here the number of items is 1, 2, 3. These are repeated, so they're not going to be counted in the final length of the set of this variable. And so 1, 2, 3, 4. It returns 4 because it only has 4 items. For example, here the concatenation of set and tiny set is like Booyah 5, Ali 45, 15. As you can see, we had 145, and adding another one does not change the, the values of this set. Okay, it only stays the same, it doesn't change. So only when concatenating tiny set to set, only this Ali is new and it is added here in this one. So, and the rest you can check it yourself. And let's see how we can create. We're going to see what are immutable and immutable sets in this section. Okay, in this part, we're going to see what is the difference between immutable or hashable, or they are the same or not. As we said, to create a set, we use curly brackets. And here, as you can see, the first item is a tuple, and the second item is an integer. Okay, so as you can see, whenever I run this code, everything goes fine, and it returns a set which contains a tuple and an integer. But what about the list? As I told you, uh, the sets, sorry about this, the sets uh, hash the items inside of it, so it can access it very fast whenever you want to check whether something is inside a set variable or not. It is very fast compared to list and tuple. It has a hashing algorithm, but the fact is lists are not hashable. As you can see here, it says lists are not hashable. So when you are creating a set, you cannot have an item which is a list, or simply which is immutable. Okay, because immutable items are not hashable. So if you're working with sets, you have to make sure that your items should be immutable. And as in this case, the list simply, when I try to create a set of this list, it simply says unhashable type list because lists are unhashable. So let's talk about another part about sets. Sets are not indexable. You cannot access it with index to the items because, as I told you, the order does not the sets do not care about the the set does not care about the orders of the items, which are it is including. Okay, so when we say, for example, what is at index 0, it simply returns error. It says set object is not subscriptable, or simply you cannot use indexing or slicing or whatever that comes like this with sets, because it is not subscriptable, or it does not have anything with orders. Okay, so it does not saves the order of the items. And that's it about indexing in sets. Or slicing is the same. For example, let me show you another example of slicing. It's, for example, from item at index 0 to 4, it's again, it simply says set object is not subscriptable, because the sets do not care about orders, or the order of sequence. It simply care about the items, and it saves the items that are not repeated. Only a unique item is available in a set. So let's talk about the operation which are available with sets, or the methods. So the first method or operation is add. Let me show you the Docker string. It says add an item to a set. Okay, this has no effect if the item is already present. Okay, if you're adding an item which is already available, present in that set variable you created, it simply does not change it. Okay, it simply ignores it, and the set will be the same. Here, for example, let me show you the set. Okay, I changed the set. Okay, let me copy the set from here and create it again in the spot. Okay, this is our set. It contains 15, 45, 5, and Puya with while the P is uppercase. So here I add Puya with lowercase p. And as you can see, because these two variables are not the same, even the characters are the same, but this one is lowercase and this one is uppercase. So these are two distinct items or values. So it simply adds it to the set. But if we wanted, for example, to add like add a new item which is already present. For example, I want to add 45, okay, which is already present in the set. It simply does not change it. Okay, these two are the same. It is as if we haven't added any new item, because the repeated items, only one of them exists. Only a unique value can exist in a set, as you can see. And to remove an item, you can use remove an element from a set. It must be a member. Okay, when it says it must be a member, well, let's check a type when it is not a member. Remove an item which is not a member. Let's see what happens in this case. So here 5 is a member, definitely. Here you can see the 5. So let's remove 5 from set, and as you can see, it simply removes it, and the 5 is no longer here. So what if we remove an item which is not a member? For example, we remove 50. Okay, 50 is not a member. As you can see, 45, 15, puya, but 50 is not a member. So let me remove it. And as you can see, it returns a key error. It says the key, or you can say, in this case, a value of 50 is not available in this variable. So it returns a key error. So if you want to access, or if you want to remove a value from a set variable which is not available in it, which is not present in that variable, it raises a key error. So another operation that we'll cover in this video is pop. Let me show you the Docker string. Also, we have checked this Docker string in previous videos. It simply says remove, okay, then definitely the item will be removed, and return an arbitrary set element, okay. I made a mistake. It removes and returns an arbitrary set element, okay. You're not going to define which element you want to be returned or removed. Simply, you are going to use pop, and it is going to give you one item. It chooses the item by, I think, based on its own uh, hashing algorithm. It takes the first one. So let's check it out. Yeah, the first one is printed out. Or for example, let me show the set as well here so we can see that set is being modified as well. So 45 is removed. Let me show you another cell. Okay, as you can see, 45 is removed and returned out as well. Right now, removed value is 45. Okay, so it removes it, and at the same time it returns it. And whenever it returns a value, we can specify that value. You can assign it to another variable or simply print it. In this case, I assigned it to variable called the removed value and print it again. So you can pop a value and use it in your process, in your code. It's up to you. So let me run the cell again, and as you can see, it removes the first one. And again, the way that it shows the values is the set variable shows the value in print. It's based on a hashing algorithm. Okay, so we don't really need to know uh, the ordering of these values, because if we care about the ordering, it's better not to use the sets, because sets does not preserve the ordering. So let me remove this one, and as you can see, set only has two items because uh, we removed two of them so far. Okay, let me remove this cell as well. So one more thing to talk about in this tutorial. To create an empty set, you need to use this set um, class, actually. As you can see, there is a self here. It's a class. We'll talk about it in OP section. It creates a set for you, okay? If you don't pass any values to it, it's going to create empty set object. So if you want to create an empty set, you should go on with this set. So as you can see, it creates an empty set and its type is set as well. So the last option, which I gonna add it here. The last section is about whether sets are mutable or not, and I think so far we have realized that sets are mutable. Okay, for example, adding a value to set, it changed its value. So definitely sets are immutable. Sets are mutable because we can change them using, for example, adding a new item to it, this, or removing one, like this, for example. For example, I'm gonna remove the same that I add in the previous cell. So as you can see, you can add and remove. So it gets us into a new conclusion that says whenever you're creating a set, for example, like this one, you cannot use another set inside of a set, because sets in and of itself, set in and of itself is immutable. Okay, so you cannot create a set which one of its item is immutable. is mutable. As you can see here, it's going to return type error. It says unhashable type set. It doesn't matter you're trying to create a set which one of its values is set. It simply says, it's unhashable. And I think most of the time, when an item is immutable, it is unhashable at the same time. So just as a note here, sets are unhashable as well. So we cannot create a set which contains another set or another unhashable or immutable object. So that's it for this video. Please subscribe to the channel and click on the bell ring so you will be notified of the future videos. As always, the codes are available in our Python intro to Python repository. Please consider to follow me on GitHub and give a start to the project. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.